price for what they survived. A personality, a VIP, history in the headlines. Whatever happened to, let's get the latest news. Hey, whatever happened to you?
Welcome to this edition of Whatever Happened To, Vivian Vance from Cherryvale. Brought to you by these fine sponsors. Hi, I'm Doug Thompson on behalf of the Kansas Auto Racing Museum in Chapman. There's a lot to see at the 15-acre racing complex. Did you know the first NHRA event was held in Great Bend in 1955? We have the original film footage. Original correspondence between Sunflower Club for Great Bend and the NHRA. We even have the first NHRA trophy. Come visit us Monday through Saturday 9 to 5 and be sure to bring the family. Relive racing memories of the past. Experience a celebration of speed that continues in racing today at the Kansas Auto Racing Museum.
Need a rock-solid building at a rock-bottom price? Sentinel Buildings is your answer. Sentinel's all-steel buildings are custom designed to your exact needs. Engineered with the highest quality materials and workmanship and backed by Sentinel's promise of ongoing hassle-free service and support. Whether for agriculture use, commercial, or storage, you'll live with your building for years. Get it right the first time. Contact your local Sentinel dealer or call Sentinel Building Systems today. Sentinel Buildings, rock solid.
Hey, whatever happened to you?
Welcome to this edition of Hey, Whatever Happened to Vivian Vance. Many of you remember Vivian Vance as Ethel Mertz from the popular television show I Love Lucy. Ethel Mertz and her husband Fred were the landlords of the apartment occupied by Ricky Ricardo and his zany wife Lucy Ricardo. The Ricardos were actually Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball. Together they owned Desi-Lou Productions. William Frawley played Fred Mertz and Vivian Vance played the part of Ethel Mertz. Television was a new media and the I Love Lucy show was the #1 show on television. Vivian Vance was the second daughter born Vivian Roberta Jones on July 26, 1909 in Cherryvale, Kansas. Her parents were Robert Andrew Jones and Euphemia May Reagan Jones. That's Vivian on the right with her older sister Venus in 1913. Vivian graduated high school at Independence, Kansas. She was voted Best Girl Bluffer. Vivian participated in a Kansas beauty contest before the Jones family moved west to New Mexico in 1928. Her high school drama teacher, Anna Engelman, could foresee a bright stage future for Vivian Vance. Vivian never forgot her high school drama teacher from Independence, Kansas.
As long as she lived, Vivian kept in touch with her. She sent her television. She sent her money. She never forgot people who helped her.
After the family relocated to Albuquerque, Vivian continued her interest in theater. She performed at the Kimmel Theater in Albuquerque. Here's Vivian when she appeared in Cushman's Review, a vaudeville troupe. The Albuquerque Little Theater, founded in 1930, helped launch Vivian's career on the stage. The theater was so confident in Vivian's talent that the entire profit from their 1932-33 production of The Trial of Mary Dugan was given to Vivian to help her study and perform in New York. Vivian never forgot the support she received from Albuquerque Little Theater. To show her gratefulness, she gave free performances at the theater on a regular basis. Vivian worked hard to develop her acting skills. Soon she landed a major role in Red, Hot, and Blue in 1936. That's Vivian standing in the center with Jimmy Durante, Ethel Merman, and Bob Hope. In 1937, she appeared in Hooray for What? With Ed Wynn. Vivian continued her Broadway success by appearing in the popular production Kiss the Boys Goodbye in 1939 with Marjorie Lord, who later appeared on The Danny Thomas Show. In 1939 and 40, she appeared in Skylark with Gertrude Lawrence. In 1941, Vivian starred with Eve Arden as two middle-aged women who pined for the company of young servicemen on a nearby air base. That was Danny Kaye's first appearance on Broadway. Later, Vivian found time to return to Albuquerque Little Theater to perform in the premiere performance of Everybody's Girl. Vivian also did summer theater, including the starring role in The Time of the Cuckoo and Here Today with John Emery in 1960. Vivian also went overseas during World War II as a USO performer. That's Vivian in Paris in 1947. In the late 1940s, Vivian suffered a nervous breakdown and went back to New Mexico for a time.
She got sick, you know. She had a nervous breakdown, And it was 5 years before she played again. And what was interesting about that was she was in San Francisco when she broke down playing in Voice of the Turtle. And the very first show she did 5 years later was Voice of the Turtle.
After taking a break from working, she moved to California and returned to the stage. Little did Vivian know that her performance in The Voice of the Turtle at La Jolla Playhouse in La Jolla, California, would lead to her most famous role. A friend of hers, director Mark Daniels, had recommended her for the part of Ethel Mertz on the Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz new television show.
One of her former directors told Desi, "You ought to go see Vivian Vance in La Jolla," because, and he did. The two of them went down there. And at the end of the show, he went backstage and offered her the role.
Accompanied by Daniels, Arnaz went to see Vance in the show and decided she was a perfect fit for the role. Initially, Vivian declined the offer. In the early 1950s, television was an emerging media, and she was working on a film career with the roles in The Secret Fury, 1950, with Claudette Colbert and Robert Ryan, and The Blue Veil, 1951, with Jane Wyman and Charles Lofton. Eventually, Vivian decided to pursue the role and put on weight.
Lucy didn't want her as glamorous as her, and made her gain weight.
The I Love Lucy show premiered in the fall of 1951 and soon became a huge hit. The show focused on Ricky and Lucy Ricardo, a Cuban band leader, and his wife, played by Desi Arnaz and Lucille Ball. Their best friends, neighbors, and landlords were Fred Mertz and Ethel Mertz. William Frawley was Vance's on-screen husband, despite a 25-year age difference. Vivian was 39 and Frawley was 64 at the time of the start of the series. Vivian was not Lucille Ball's first choice. Lucy wanted either actress B. Bernadette or Barbara Peppers, two close friends, to play the role. CBS refused Pepper on the grounds that she had a drinking problem, and Bernadette was already playing Blanche Morton on the Burns and Allen television show. Although Vance's and Ball's friendship was lukewarm initially, Ball eventually overcame her resistance to Vance and began respecting her as a friend and actress, and the two formed a close relationship. The role of Fred Mertz was played by William Frawley, who was 25 years her senior in real life. While Vance and Frawley shared great acting, comic, and musical chemistry on screen, off-screen they did not get along. Initially, Vivian complained about his age, stating he should be playing her father rather than her husband.
The animosity was because William Frawley overheard Vivian telling somebody that nobody's going to believe that she'd be married to that old guy.
When they were first starting the show, she said to somebody, "I hate being married to a man 20 years older than me." She had always been a glamour woman, you know. She had never played a housewife like that. And he heard her. And unfortunately, it really hurt his feelings, because he was 20 years older than her.
Vivian used to skim through the script before she memorized her lines to see how many scenes she had with that stubborn-headed little Irishman. Others recall that Vance and Frawley lost each other on sight, and that Vance was put off by Frawley's cantankerous ways and attitude. In 1954, Vivian became the first actress to win the Emmy Awards for Outstanding Supporting Actress, and the show won Best Situation Comedy. Vivian later was nominated for 3 more Emmys in 1955, 57, and 58. In 1957, the highly successful half-hour I Love Lucy show ended. Vivian continued playing Ethel Mertz on a series of hour-long specials titled The Lucille Ball Desi Arnaz Show, later retitled Lucy Desi Comedy Hour. Desi Arnaz proposed to Vance and Frawley the opportunity to star in their own Fred and Ethel spin-off show. Although Frawley was interested, Vance declined, mainly because she did not want to work on a one-on-one basis with Frawley, as they already didn't get along. Also, Vivian felt the Mertz characters would be unsuccessful in a show without the Ricardos. Vance declining the would-be show intensified the animosity between her and Frawley. Instead, Vivian was interested in doing the series based on the life of Babs Hooten, a New York socialite who moved to New Mexico to run a hotel and ranch. Desi Arnaz financed a pilot starring Vance as Hooten titled Guestward Ho, which was shot in 1958 by Desilu. However, the show was rejected by CBS, and in turn Vivian continued in her Ethel Mertz role. In 1962, Lucille Ball was planning to return to television in a new series, The Lucy Show. The premise of the series starred Ball as Lucille Carmichael, a widow with 2 children living in Danfield, New York. Vance reluctantly agreed to be her co-star on the condition that she be allowed to appear in more glamorous clothes, as well as having her character be named Vivian. By this time in her life, Vance had grown tired of the public addressing her as Ethel. Vivian appeared on The Lucy Show from 1962 until 1965 as Vivian Bagley, a divorced mother of one son, sharing a house with Ball's character. The character was the first divorcee ever on a weekly American television series. The strain of commuting from her home in Connecticut to Hollywood was too hard for her. In the third season, Vance decided to appear in 7 of the season's 26 episodes. In 1965, after completing her third year on the series, Vance decided to leave. At the start of the 1965-66 season, the format of the sitcom had changed. The Lucy character moved out to Los Angeles. Vivian Bagley remarried, and she, her son, and her new husband remained in Danfield. Vivian made only 3 more guest appearances on the remaining seasons of The Lucy Show. After her departure from The Lucy Show, Vance appeared occasionally alongside Lucille Ball on reunion shows and made several guest appearances on Ball's third sitcom, Here's Lucy. In 1973, Vance was diagnosed with breast cancer. The following year, she and her husband moved to Belvedere, California, so she could be near her sister. It was during that period of time that Vivian's agent got her an endorsement deal with Maxwell House Coffee. Over the next several years, Vivian could be seen in numerous commercials for Maxwell House. The 1970s saw Vivian make a number of television guest appearances, as well as appearing in a number of made-for-television movies, including The Front Page in 1970, Getting Away from It All in 1972, and The Great Houdini in 1976. Vivian appeared at the Lucille Ball Roast in 1975.
Ladies and gentlemen, the lady who was Lucy's co-star and constant companion for over 10 years on television, the very talented Miss Vivian Vance.
You probably don't remember me. But we go back a long way. Actually, I've known Lucille Ball, man and boy, for over 20 years. And during that time, I consider the years I spent on I Love Lucy to be perhaps the biggest rip-off of my career. I remember when she was head of Desilu Productions, she had a sign on her desk that said, "The buck stops here." I didn't realize at the time that she meant it literally. Lucy was always very friendly with everybody on the show. She called them all by their first names, no matter how insignificant she considered them to be. It was always, "How you doing, Harry? How's the family, Pete? Hurry up with that coffee, Desi."
Vivian made her final television appearance with Lucille Ball on the CBS special Lucy Called the President, which aired November 21st, 1977. That same year, Vance suffered a stroke, which left her partially paralyzed. Although Vivian was married 4 times, she never had children.
She said that show business was no place for children.
However, Vivian remained very close with her siblings and their families. Venus Jones was the oldest sibling, with Vivian second, followed by Dorothy, Maxine, who was always called Mickey, Robert, and LouAnn. There was 17 years difference between Vivian and her youngest sibling, LouAnn.
She was always so good to me because one of the things I remember so well, I was 5 when she left Albuquerque to go to New York. And you know, the Albuquerque Little Theater paid for her to go to New York because they believed in her talent. And we were on a farm in South Albuquerque. And I remember very well standing there when my Vivian was telling my mom goodbye. And then I heard her say, even at 5, I will never forget it, "I'm afraid she'll forget me." And I knew she was talking about me. But how could I forget her? Every Christmas she sent me my most beautiful doll and sent me things from our children when they were entering a new grade, a new dress or something. I mean, she was so thoughtful about things like that.
Vivian received her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in February 1991. Vivian took all of her sisters on a trip to Hawaii in 1977. For a short period of time, Vivian lived in Pacific Palisades, California.
She loved to garden, and she was a good cook, too.
Vivian also renovated a schoolhouse in North Salem, New York. She was a wonderful decorator and gardener. Vivian was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1973. This is Vivian's last photo. She attended a dress rehearsal of The Wizard of Oz and is complimenting the cast, even though she is very ill at the time.
The last 2 years of her life, I took her to the hospital every day, and then as she got sicker, I went out and cooked meals for the week so that her husband could just serve them. But it was an amazing thing that she maintained her sense of humor and everything.
Vivian died at her home on August 17, 1979, of bone cancer. After her death, Desi Arnaz remarked, "It's bad enough to lose one of the great artists we've had the honor and pleasure to work with, but it's even harder to reconcile the loss of one of your best friends." In March 2012, Vivian, along with William Frawley, were posthumously inducted into the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame.
The Television Hall of Fame started in 1984. Lucille Ball was actually one of the first ones inducted, and they usually induct 8 or 9 different people each year from television. In the group that they inducted this year was William Frawley and Vivian Vance. I contacted the Emmy organization to see if I could get a ticket to that, or if they were available, and they offered me a ticket, and they invited LouAnn to accept the award on behalf of her, and so I traveled out and met up with LouAnn in Beverly Hills and stayed with her and went to the event with her.
I was her representative when she was taken into the Television Hall of Fame. It was so exciting. I had a Navajo dress made because Vivian loved New Mexico.
Her body was cremated and the ashes scattered at sea. Family members donated Vance's Emmy Award to the Albuquerque Little Theater after her death. Welcome back to Hey, Whatever Happened to Vivian Vance? I'm Doug Thompson with co-host Roger Thompson. Roger, this is the first show that we've done under this, the first episode under this new show, Hey, Whatever Happened to? And each week is a new celebrity, either born in Kansas or with a very strong connection to Kansas. And the first one we chose to do, of course, was Vivian Vance. I did much of the initial interview because I made contact with Vivian's sister out of Albuquerque and did some of that. But now we've had a chance to go through the material, and what an immensely talented person Vivian was from Cherryvale, Kansas.
You know, it's not only that. What astounds me by these folks that we're doing, and we've been working on some other shows, is that their lives and their talent far exceeds what we see on the television show or the little episode. That's a little snippet of their lives. There's so much more to it, and Vivian is a perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah.
She is the real deal.
Yeah, and her family, of course, lived in Cherryvale when she was born, and they have been just absolutely great to work with. We contacted Chamber of Commerce, and we got a hold, of course, of Vivian's sister in Albuquerque. She sent the family album.
That's
and did
amazing.
And
with all the
just
entries.
Trusted us with that,
Yeah.
and sent that to us, and then we did on-air interview with her, and the things she said about Vivian, what a wonderful person that she was, how she interacted with her family. Even though Vivian didn't have children of her own, she took and stayed in such close contact with her siblings and their kids that she was just constantly a part of the family.
And her relationship with people that helped her get into the business never changed.
No. The people, you're exactly right. Her high school drama teacher, she's just a fantastic person, and all of us here in Kansas can be very proud of her. Not only what she did with the I Love Lucy show and working with Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, but
Danny Kaye and
all of
Beauty
the
Contest
people,
and Bing Crosby and
yeah,
goes on and on.
Yeah, she's very talented. And this gives you an indication of what our show is going to be, because each week we'll have a new celebrity. So now you know what happened to Vivian Vance of Cherryvale, Kansas. For co-host Roger Thompson, I'm Doug Thompson. Thanks for watching. See you next time when we go up close and personal with another famous person from Kansas on Hey, Whatever Happened to? God bless you.
God bless you too. Bye, everybody.
Welcome to Cherryvale, Kansas, birthplace of Vivian Roberta Jones, better known as Vivian Vance, or as we would know her, Ethel Mertz, off of the I Love Lucy show.
6th Street is named Vivian Vance Memorial Drive, and along that street is her birthplace. Annually, we have a celebration at the museum, and I take all my memorabilia up there and we put it on display for people to come through and see.
So come to Cherryvale, Kansas. It's a great place to visit.